Let's see. We're on. Hi. Let me see the
Hi.
hair. I love it.
Well, it's a little darker than it should be. Like, you know what? When I saw the color online, it was more purpley.
Yeah.
Even though this looks exactly like the photos I sent you.
Yeah.
But I think it's more purpley if you're a blonde.
Well, the photo you sent me of your hair before, it had more warm tones, and this one has probably more blue tones in it.
Yes, it has more blue tones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it.
So it's okay. It's a little dark, but that's okay. I mean, I did it myself, and it was a mess. It looked like it was going to be a real mess because of the red in it, all the color, but it all came out.
Yeah.
I covered all my grays, and it all came out.
And they
so
came
what I would do next time is just make it a little bit
sangria.
lighter or do streaks. What?
They came through with the name Sangria.
Right?
But I think it suits you really well with your skin tone. I like it.
Oh my God! I hope. Well, it's my new hairstyle for now.
Maybe it washes out a little bit.
Haircut. What?
Maybe it washes out after a couple of washes.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But it's okay. I mean, listen, I can't complain because it looks exactly like the photo that they said it was going to look like. You know what I mean?
I love that when that happens.
So from that point of view, they did not tell a lie when they put the picture there.
That's right. But your hair is long. It looks good.
Well, I just, but I need to get my bangs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it needs a little something, but other than that, it's okay. I just had my friend Amy and her husband over here. So we were hanging out in the back. I'm just taking one more.
Is it ice cream?
No, it's it's chia pudding.
Ooh, look how healthy. Oh yeah, you're on the keto.
Yes, it's peanut butter Cheeto pudding, and it's so good.
Nice.
So good. And it's a food delivery service.
Okay.
Yeah. So I make it also, but I like the way they make it too. I go back and forth, between rebelling at cooking and then not wanting to clean up, do dishes, and just ordering food.
Yeah.
Cooking, ordering food.
Cooking like the keto? Have you learned how to do the keto diet while you?
Oh my God. Yes. It's so great. Mm-hmm. I just love it. I mean, all it is really healthy eating. It's just like whole foods. Yeah. I mean, you eat healthy too. I mean, you've always been thin anyway, so.
Yeah, I do eat healthy, but I've been overindulging lately because what else can we do? Sit around all day?
Right.
What else can I eat?
Right. Yeah. And then sometimes, if you decide you're going to cheat a little bit, it's like, so what? You cheat. You're not going to a big event tomorrow, and you don't have to fit into that dress.
Exactly.
Right.
And my choice of dress has changed anyways. And more forgiving,
Say what?
My choice of dresses is now at this age a more forgiving.
Oh yeah, I know. But it's all about what's in your head and what you see, right?
Of course, you have to feel.
So that really, like I always say, well, no one's going to see me, but I see me, and I'm the one who's hardest on myself.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
But at this point, I think we've learned that we're it has softened up a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, I can only speak for myself, but.
Well, I mean, if we don't soften up a little bit, then we're going to be very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
Right.
See, those are the good things about aging, of the privilege of aging, of even making it to that age.
Right. Listen, I agree, except what I've learned in the last few months is that, not that I consider myself old and not that I think I look my age, but the young kids don't give a shit about older people.
Yeah.
Because they don't even care if they die.
Well, they at this point where they think they're invincible, the death is so far.
But I would say, but I never was disrespectful to elders or disrespectful. Like if there was a pandemic and I was their age, I would not be behaving that way. My parents didn't bring me up to behave that way.
I think that's a good point because, the people don't have guidance. They don't know what to do or they don't care. And, we have
and we don't have a leader that's helping with that.
And we have a different foundation from our upbringing. It was a different time, where there were more values, or depending in what family you grew up in New York.
Well, also, as much as we love all the social media,
Yeah.
we weren't bound by social media. We weren't I mean, you have a generation of selfies, which I think is horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't grow up with selfies. I mean, and we would go to friends' parties, or, it wasn't about, connecting on the cell phone. Is it better where you are? We can go over there. I mean, you were like in your space and you enjoyed your time where you were.
And it all worked out, like I remember when I used to live in Spain, in Ibiza, we didn't have cell phones. You would get an invite to a party and they said at kilometer 5, you turn left, and then there's a blue stone at the next fork where you turn right, and then you would find the house somehow, because there was no phone.
Exactly. No question. But that is the good thing, though, that you could be in a foreign country and get a GPS and, Waze, and you know how to get somewhere.
Well, yeah, I do like these things about the technology, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there are things I like. What I don't like is what people do for evil.
Yeah.
Like you have like China and stuff. I mean, all the trafficking and all the illegal stuff you can sell online and things like that. That, it's, listen, people who want to do good, the internet is great, and people that want to be evil, it makes them more evil.
With or without technology.
It is a double-edged sword.
Yeah. But it's about the people who commit these things, it's whether they have the technology or not, they will always exist. That's the problem, I think.
Yeah, but I think they exist. They're easier to get banned. It's easier for them to band together now.
True.
Than it used to be because of social media.
Yeah.
You can, whether it's that QAnon, which is very scary. I mean, how scary are they? QAnon.
Very.
Things like that. I mean, people just listen, were there always terrorists? Yeah, but Al-Qaeda, having the internet and, all the technology certainly has enhanced them. They've been able to recruit people all over the world, where before that wasn't the case, before technology.
And even with the social media now, they can analyze the people and manipulate them by their profiles on Facebook.
Yes.
All of that.
What do you think? What the 2016 election was all about? That.
Yeah, the Cambridge Analytica thing. Yeah.
Yes. Did you see that documentary?
Big hack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
But by the way, I have to say that I'm a person that I'm just not easily influenced. I never followed, followed the crowd. I'm an independent thinker. I always thought of myself as an independent thinker. Like I remember my freshman year of school, and I was in a room with 20 freshmen. We were all sitting in chairs in a circle, and I'd never smoked pot before. And I was there with my new roommate for college, and this joint goes around the room. Everybody smoked it. I don't know if their first time or whatever, but everybody felt pressure to smoke it. And I was almost at the end of the circle, and it came to me, and I had never smoked pot before, and I wasn't ready to smoke pot. I went like this. I passed it on to the person next to me. The person next to me happened to be my roommate, who had never smoked pot before. I didn't know that. And she slumped in her chair. She was so relieved that I had not taken a hit, because she would have felt the pressure to do it, because, 17 people in the circle had already taken a hit. Yeah. But I wasn't ready. So I didn't feel the pressure. So
you've given her the permission basically not to take the hit.
Correct.
That's great. That's great empowerment, if you.
Right. But I'm just saying, but I've never been the person that, goes by, influence. But like, I know what you do too, is I read the news.
Yeah.
I read legit news, and I read more than one source, and I don't rely on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram to get my news, or any social media for that matter. I read legitimate news sources that I know for years have been legitimate news sources.
Yeah.
As opposed to all the blogs that have come out, and some of them are good, but you have to do if you're going to read some political blog, then you owe it to yourself to check it against.
Fact check. Yeah.
Fact check it. Yeah.
For sure. Do you think
Yeah.
your strength, like with that example you just mentioned with the joint, is that something that was innate in you always as a child, or did it have something to do with your parents kind of
Well, I wouldn't
giving
know
you
when I was
those
a
values?
child if it was them or it was innate, but I have to believe it was probably innate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, my parents were strict disciplinarians and I loved them dearly. But no, I think my mind, you know, listen, my father, you know, we weren't allowed to watch TV on school nights. You know, we were allowed to, I think, watch 1 hour during the week of a show.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. You know, so I can just imagine, I would assume my parents would not have let me on social media during the week either for more than an hour.
Yeah. That was also the
Right.
time when we watched an episode and we had to wait for a week even for the new one to come out. You know, now we can sit down and binge on them one
Right,
after the
exactly.
other.
Right. Well, right. You know, it's funny because when that all went down, when House of Cards was the very first show, you know, that went into streaming.
Yeah.
That was the very first show that Netflix bought that they promoted that was streamed for the first time.
And it was one of the most successful shows ever on television, right?
Well, yes, but when it happened initially,
Yeah.
I was getting, you know, everybody would criticize me, whether it was like my friend Chuck was over at FX and he was one of the executives of, I don't want to say his last name, one of the executives at FX. Oh, that model's never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
The guys at HBO said, oh, that model's never going to work. People streaming, seeing it when they want to, it's never going to work. I remember going to the TCAs and everybody was saying, you know, kind of cool, but it's never going to work. Well, I guess that proved them wrong.
How were you involved in the show besides that you represented Kevin?
Well, I negotiated his deal.
Ooh.
I didn't produce the show.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't looking to produce the show.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I managed the lead of the show. So I was very involved with the show. I was involved with casting and all that kind of stuff. And I spent a year negotiating his deal. It was the first deal of its kind. It was the first streaming deal.
Was it different than negotiating, let's say, an HBO deal or a film deal?
Oh my God, it was completely different because it really was, well, you know, if you asked business affairs at the time, they didn't think so, but I thought so. I thought it was a hybrid. I thought, okay, here he is. I have my client and he's going to do his first TV series, so to speak, but yet it is kind of a movie. Mm-hmm. You know, and they have a lot of money and it is a movie. And so, you know, because the pilot was a 2-hour pilot, right? And they spent a lot of money on it. So, you know, they wanted to treat it like a TV show and I wanted it to be treated like a feature film. Mm-hmm. And so it took almost a year to negotiate that deal because Kevin had gone off to do theater in London. And so there was no rush. And, you know, it ended up being like a movie deal, I have to say.
Is that the standard now for all the streaming series? Because, like, how do they make the revenue?
I don't know I don't know how other people negotiate. So it's still the Wild West. So if you're the lead of the show, then obviously you have a lot of leeway. But if you're just a regular cast member, you're not getting very much unless the show becomes a hit and then you go in and renegotiate. Yeah. And also, you know, you're not getting residuals.
Okay.
So, I mean, which is a big part. You do a TV show, actors get residuals for a long time coming. Yeah. But on Netflix, it's a buyout. You get bought out. Except in the case of Kevin, with because he was the lead of the show, we owned a piece of the show. Mm. We owned a piece of the back end. Mm-hmm. You know,
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, he kind of fucked that up a little bit, but at the end,
that's when you parted ways, right? Or before you said before?
We parted a little bit before that. Mm-hmm. He had become untenable, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. Don't they all? I guess at some point when they get too big.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe not, but he did.
Well, and then also it depends on your character, how you handle it. I find like many of people, like talent or actors that I've met through Roland, you know, who've worked on his movies
Uh-huh.
and were really great. They are also really wonderful people. I don't know, you know, and I think they've only gone that
Hmm.
far because they had that integrity and, you know,
Give
value.
me one. Can you tell me one?
Can I tell you one? Let's see. Do I want to name names?
Well, but you're paying them a compliment, aren't you?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. If you're insulting somebody, don't name them.
Well, there's Jason Isaacs, for example.
Oh,
Great
he
guy.
seems like he'd be a great guy.
He's a great guy. Heath Ledger
Yeah.
was a great guy. He was troubled, but he was a
Oh,
great guy.
wow. Yeah, you can be troubled. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin in his early days was much better. He was always nice to the crew and everything like that. I don't want to, you know, put him down on this interview, but yeah, his last 2 years, you know, went to his head,
Yeah.
you know. So, and the stories I got back after I stopped working with him and after he went down were not very pretty, actually, which surprised me.
Well,
I
it
didn't think they were as
spared you a
bad
lot
as
of trouble on your end, I guess, right?
what?
It spared you a lot of trouble to troubleshoot.
Yeah, I didn't have
on
to
your
answer all the news reports and
end.
get into all that. Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. You know, I do
So,
wish him well, though.
of course, yeah. We always
I
hope.
do wish him well.
Yep. So in this whole time of COVID and lockdown, where the entertainment shootings, the films and everything have come to a halt, like what's a talent manager to do with their clients? What do you do these days
Ah,
with your clients?
it's been really tough. So,
Mhm.
you know, because I'm not on the, oops, I am
Hi.
not on the development end. So,
Yeah.
you know, you have to wait for movies to start casting again, and which they are. Some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things are starting to, you know,
Pick up.
heat up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's going to be weird. I feel sorry for the actors because I mean they're the ones that it really really changes a lot for. So, and by the way, the other thing that it changes as a manager, you know, and one of the perks and fun things to do as a manager, at least for me and some people I know, is like going to the sets and visiting the actors, right? And premieres and things like that, and events and stuff like that. And what I don't know, number one, is we can't go visit sets now because the sets are bubbles,
Yeah.
right? So no more visiting sets. At the moment, you know, none of the agencies are planning on going back into their offices until the end of January 2021.
And have
You know,
furloughed and let go a lot of people too, right?
well, yeah, well, a lot of yes, CAA, you know, fired 90 senior agents and furloughed 275. But same happened at WME just earlier. Paradigm, ICM. You know, one of the ones, you know, the ones that do more packaging and do live event business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that had to let off more people.
Yeah.
Because the live event business, as we know, is dead too for a
I
while.
wonder if the agents, I mean, that's not your role as a manager, I guess, but would you look outside of this country for work for your clients
Well,
internationally?
we always do. Well, we always have.
Yeah, but especially now because the
No,
Europe
but we always
production
have.
went back.
Always have. Always. That's never changed.
I
I
think,
mean, I wouldn't have my client go doing a film in Italian
yeah,
or in German, or I mean, it'd have to be an English language film. Otherwise, it doesn't enhance their career in any way.
yeah.
You know, but they are shooting in other countries. They are shooting. Oops. I know that. I know they got permits. Tom Hanks and them are in Australia, getting ready to finish shooting the film that they started before. One of my clients is going back to shooting a film at the end of August in Boston. So there are things coming back, but it's coming back slowly because I think people want to make sure that that they're not going to run into problems because the insurance is going to be really tricky this time around.
Yeah.
Because you cannot get insurance for COVID.
And if somebody gets sick, the whole production shuts down.
Well, not necessarily. That person has to leave, and they have backups now. They'll have backups of like every role, right? And the question is, I think I might have mentioned this to you the other day, is that the guilds are, negotiating with the studios and everything, because the guilds are saying, okay, so my DP gets COVID on the third day of shooting, and you have to replace him. I want my DP to be paid, for the entire shoot. And the studios are saying, well, I can't pay them the entire shoot because I have to hire another DP.
Yeah.
So then I'm double dipping. I'm paying 2 salaries.
Very tricky, yeah.
And so it's very tricky. I actually agree with both sides.
Yeah.
And then what if 20 more people like in Major League Baseball come down with it?
Yeah.
Right? Then you're paying 20 extra salary, 20 double salaries.
Wow.
So, I think the only way it is going to work, obviously, are these bubbles that they're creating where, people go down a couple weeks early. But, it's kind of a drag because here you're shooting on a nice location, right? You can't go out to any of the restaurants if they're open anyway, but you can't go to any of the restaurants. You can't go to the gym. You can't go do anything. Stay in your room.
And you can't even hang out amongst each other because they separate them.
Well, you can hang out, within reason on set, but there's, now there's a new job on set. It's called COVID coordinator.
Yeah.
So, they're going to walk around and make sure if they don't see you sanitizing enough, that you're sanitizing enough, that you're at least 6 feet away from the person next to you, that you're wearing your mask, not too many people in a room, all that, making sure people get tested, the results and all that stuff. So, doesn't even sound like that much fun, does it?
No, you're probably not the most liked person on the set either.
Mm-hmm.
Although
well, I don't know about that,
but
I just saying for the actors, it's just not, it's not, you can't have craft food services serve you food. Everything has to be wrapped
and packaged. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how many clients do you represent at the moment?
Well,
what's the roster like?
That's a tricky question because my goal was never to have a lot of clients.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was to have one, and it was Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I started off in the business, that's what the big managers had, basically 1 or 2 clients, like Pat McQueenie,
mm-hmm.
who had Harrison Ford for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was her only client.
Wow.
So she read all the scripts, she was making a lot of money off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making a lot of money off of Kevin. I thought if I had too many clients, that Kevin would think I didn't have time for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all I wanted. I just didn't want to be responsible for so many different personalities.
Right.
And I work on my own.
How did they find, like, if you have more clients now, did they find you or did you go?
Well, that's tricky also, because in this day and age, it's become very, very difficult to be a manager, because now when agents get fired from an agency,
mm-hmm.
they become managers. So
mm-hmm.
now there are so many managers out there, it's to the point of being annoying.
But
so now when an agency,
they know how to do the job.
Well, they don't necessarily, but
exactly.
but that's what happens now. There's so many managers out there, mm-hmm. and every time they're an agent and they get fired, they become a manager, go to another company. The heads of the agency give them clients to take with them because they're letting them go, mm-hmm. type of thing. So it's become really difficult. And I think in the age of COVID, mm-hmm. even more difficult, because, mm-hmm. Typically I could go to parties and schmooze, go to lunches with agents and, clients and premieres. And, I was always socializing,
mm-hmm.
and would meet people. And now, right now, it's almost impossible. But I did sign,
mm-hmm.
what?
Would
you know,
you?
but I do have a couple of people that I met through other people that I did sign.
Yeah.
That they're not big stars, but they're working. So I have a few kids on series right now. You know, Kevin was my big kahuna. So,
Yeah. I was just
you
going
know,
to ask you, is it something that you would, let's say, you know, like rolling in these circles and you would come by a young actor or something and you would see something in him or her?
no, because before I did, and I never would sign them. I
Okay.
think of all the years, sorry about that. All the years that I didn't sign people that I thought were talented because I had Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them. Like
Mm-hmm.
every time Kevin did a play, I didn't try to sign them. They're all doing pretty well off of being on it. Last night I was actually looking. So when he did the Richard III in London,
Uh-huh.
I was looking at the cast from the show, and they're all working. They're all working a lot.
Uh-huh.
But I wasn't interested in signing them because I had Kevin. Because nobody was as good as Kevin, I thought. Kevin was the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't my business model. But now I think it's about, I do think it's about quantity.
Yeah. But if you
Because
see somebody, what is it? What do you have to have in order to see that somebody has the potential?
It's not tangible.
It's a feeling, right?
The feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a feeling, listen, you know, I had an actor a couple of years ago. It was like after, you know, I wasn't working with Kevin anymore, and after Kevin had gone down,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a kind of famous actor that wanted me to represent him. I met him at a party, and I took him on against everybody telling me not to. I was warned by 3 different agencies: don't go near him, he's bad news,
Mm-hmm.
la 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 la. You know, he's just like a lot of trouble. But I thought, you know, and he was in a bad place at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I took him on. It was the most exhausting thing I'd ever done. I couldn't do it. The most exhausting. Some of them are just exhausting.
Yeah.
Kevin was never exhausting. This guy was exhausting. And I think sometimes, had I still been working with him during COVID, I probably would have shot myself.
So did you fire him?
Yes. But I think about it. I was thinking it on the way home last night. Like, if I had to make myself look busy for him or be busy for him during the lockdown and have to listen to him talk about himself for hours on end, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So I love the business. I just want it to come back to the way it was, where people are going into the offices and we can have lunches and we can go out and we can be free and, you know, and do everything we love about the business.
Yeah. Be social.
You know, yeah, right. Our business, I mean, I got into it for being social. One of my casting director friends was saying to me the other day that they're depressed because, you know, for them, the best part of their job was having the actors physically come in,
auditioning
to the office,
yeah.
and interacting with them.
Yeah.
And now they're just looking at tapes all day long.
Yeah.
And they hate it.
But when you got started as a manager, you know, in the sense of like the classic sense of a manager before all these ex-agents became manager.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Like, did you make that conscious decision, or was it like something that just
Yes. Yes. I was in publicity before that. Mm-hmm. So I worked at Studio 54.
Oh, we all know.
I was in PR at Universal Pictures, a lowly secretary.
Before studio, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was one of my first jobs out of college. I was a lowly secretary at Universal Pictures.
In New York?
Yes, for the head of publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Jerry Giroux. And the woman on my left had been there like 40 years, and the woman on my right, maybe not 40, maybe 30. And the woman on my right had been there 23 years, and they were still secretaries on the desk back then. You know, I had to take a shorthand course to get the job to begin with back then. Interesting, right? And then the kids have it so easy today.
Yeah.
And then I went on a date with a guy that worked for Steve Rebell and Ian Schrager at this place called the Enchanted Garden, which was in Queens. And they had a group of restaurants called the Steak Loft. And so he said, come with me to work one night. My bosses have this amazing club. And after it closes, we're going to go dancing in the city at some great clubs. And they're in 6 weeks, they're opening a club called Studio 54. I want to show it to you. So I went to work with him. The club, Enchanted Garden, which was the precursor to Studio 54. There were transsexuals there. There were gay people there. There were people in all kinds of get-ups there. It was a great place. It was very, very festive. And then I went to see Studio, and I said, listen, if you send me, I had no idea what I was doing. I said, if you guys send me a stack of invitations, this light is so bad. If you send me a stack of invitations, I'll send them. Oh my God. Hold on. Does this ruin your interview? Sorry. Send me a stack of invitations.
It's all part of the game. Yeah.
Okay. Send me a stack of invitations, and I'll send them out to celebrities, because I got a thing called Celebrity Bulletin at the office.
What was that?
And what
was the Celebrity Bulletin?
It would tell you, where the celebrities were.
Okay.
This is really bad. Okay. They would tell you where the celebrities.
You got it because of the studio, basically.
No. I got it because I was still working at Universal Pictures as a secretary. So it came in every day. So back then, people didn't have alias names. Okay. So Silvester Stallone was in town. He was at the Sherry Neverland. Warren Beaty would stay at the Carlisle. So, and then Michael Jackson was doing The Wiz at Universal. And I called the production office and invited him to Studio 54, and he came. So we became very good friends.
When was the opening of Studio 54? What year was that?
1977.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It was 1977.
So Ian and Steve Rubell owned that Enchanted Garden in Queens.
Yes.
Before, so they really set the tone of creating, like, curating a diverse kind of crowd, right? That they were the first.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. So
because that was the magic, right? That was the magic about this whole place. That anybody who
Steve ran the door. Steve was in charge of the door.
Yeah.
So anyone who entered was because Steve cast it that way.
Yeah.
Of course, I worked there and I could get anybody in I wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so what happened was they sent me the stack of invitations. I send them out on, strangely enough, because I was young, Universal Stationery. Okay. And sign my name, and I go out to all the celebrities, and I put my phone number on the bottom, and they all called and they wanted to come. So on opening night, Cher, John Kennedy Jr., Henry Winkler, who was working on a movie for Universal at the time, they all showed up, though most of them couldn't get in because so many people showed up at the door. And Cher was on the front page of the New York Post the next day, and Studio 54 was born.
And then all you're doing that came.
I would definitely take a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew it at the time? I was so young, but they hired me away from Universal. They said, "Come work for us."
No way. What was your intention in Universal? Did you want to kind of do a career in PR there in film initially?
Oh no! What did I just do?
You turned your video off.
How do I turn it on?
Go on the bottom left. There's a little video icon.
Bottom left.
Yeah, if you scroll over the screen, the thing comes up. Do you see it? There you are. And now you have to unmute yourself too.
Ah.
There we go. You're back.
I don't see you though.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Um,
Oh, there you are. Wait, there you are. But there I'm not, right?
okay.
Can you see me?
Nope.
See, another reason why I want off to go back to the office.
Is the technology.
There I am.
There. Can you see me?
Here you go. Yep.
Good.
I can. Yeah. So, yeah. So then I stayed at Universal for a few months. So I had the free celebrity bulletins. And then I left and worked at studio full time. I was getting paid cash off the books.
So did you moonlight it at the studio and work the daytime at Universal?
No. Only for the first few months. Then I quit.
Yeah.
And I worked at studio full time.
Uh-huh.
And I was of course I was there every night. I was, during the day I was trying to get celebrities and parties and hustling to get all that stuff. And then at night, hanging out and partying, and had free drink tickets for people, did parties, did the press, because I would be responsible, like I'd be responsible for, like, if I brought someone in, like if Michael Jackson came, trying to get him on the front page of the New York Post, because I'd make more money if he was on the front page of the New York Post.
Oh, so that was a bonus when you got them on? Like
No. Back then, I got paid for anything I did. Wasn't a bonus. I didn't get a salary. Everything was generated by me. So if I bought Silvester Stallone to the club, for him walking in the door, I would get, it's like $250 cash off the books. And this is 1977, okay?
Yeah, that was good.
Then if I got him on the front page of the New York Post, I got an additional $500 cash off the books. If I got him on the front page of the Daily News, another $500 cash off the books. If I got him inside People magazine in the People section, I would get another $250. If I got him in Time or Newsweek in the Newsmaker or People section, it'd be an additional $500. So every time Stallone walked in, and he was a huge star back then, I was pocketing like $2,500 to $3,000 cash off the books in 1977.
Amazing.
Today, from what I understand, it's the celebrities that get paid to show up. But
I know.
back then,
I was just going to say that. It's like,
but when I did it, that wasn't how it worked. I got paid to bring them.
So you kind of initiated that whole thing, pretty much.
Yeah, I've been written up a bunch of times, and yes, that's what people say.
But how did you pull it off after you left Universal, when you didn't have your celebrity bulletin anymore? Did you make enough?
Oh, then I had enough money I was making enough money to have it delivered to me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was making money.
Get it.
I was making money cash off the books. I was buying Susan Bennis, Warren Edward lizard shoes and boots and shit, like, oh my God. I made a deal with a limo company that if I got celebrities to use their limousines, I would get free limousines in exchange for myself. And so what I would do is, like, on a Saturday night, I would get the limousine, have them come to my apartment around 7 o'clock in the evening, drive me out to have dinner with my parents. The car would wait. And around like 10:15, car would drive me back to the city. I'd run upstairs, car would wait downstairs for me. And at like 11:45, 11:30, 11:45, I come downstairs dressed to go to Studio 54.
So you kind of were pretty much there every night?
I was, yeah, 100%.
And what time did they close? Was there a set closing time? Or
yeah, no, 2 o'clock, but then there were after hours clubs. But for the most part, because, I never smoked, drank, or did drugs, thank God, which is amazing to be there, because
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, because people to come in would offer you cocaine and downers and poppers, and never took any of that. But what I did take was, back then, vinyl. I had a friend, my friend Bruce Garfield was the president of Capitol Records at the time. So he sent me the entire Beatles collection on vinyl, which I still have.
Amazing.
right? I had friends at CBS Records. I did parties for them. So I was just getting free albums, free concerts,
Concert
concert
tickets.
tickets, free backstage passes,
Right.
some free clothing.
Amazing.
Barry Kieselstein Cord had just started his belt company back then. I got a free belt, things like that.
And even though it was the 70s and stuff, you never got into any of the drinking and the drugs. That's
I don't drink. Even understand. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
It just wasn't your thing.
Just not my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even in college, I just wasn't, I never drank. Strangely enough, my brother never drank either. My parents were both, social drinkers.
Right.
I think for me, I know this sounds crazy, but I've always been an eater.
Yeah.
And so I rather eat my calories than drink them.
Yeah. Well, the drinking is empty calories anyways, so.
Well, but the sugar would make, if I was eating the way I ate, if I was eating the way I eat and I drank, I would be so bloated.
Yeah.
So I never drank, never did drugs, but people always offered them to get into the club. But I was always conscious, and for me, I wanted to get into the movie business. So I didn't want to be bouncing off the walls anyway, because then who was going to take me seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did 3 parties for Michael Jackson. I did one for the rap party for The Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever he was in New York, I was the one that would take him to studio. Mm-hmm. So I did the rap party for The Wiz. I did one for the Jackson 5 for Going Places. And then did I do the premiere for The Wiz? So, and Michael was living in New York for a while because they shot The Wiz in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So
how was it there? But how old was Michael then? Because a lot of I see like pictures of Brooke Shields hanging out at studio, and they were all underage. So that was
they weren't underage.
No?
No, I mean I think Brooke Shields might have been, and
but it was
I didn't hang out with Brooke Shields then, but she was always with her mother, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she was never like a wild child, doing drugs and stuff. But Michael was, I think Michael was at least 20, 21. I mean, by the way, but you listen, back then he was Jehovah's Witness, okay? So all he did when he came to the club was hang out in the DJ booth and watch the people. That's what he loved doing. He was a people watcher. Yeah. So he would watch the people. And he loved the action, but he would always be in the DJ booth.
Yeah.
So
who was the prominent DJ at the time at studio?
There was a few of them. Richie Kazar was one of them. He was the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so long ago. I remember certain people, but I only remember Richie Kazar. And by the way, I still get together and I'm still in touch with the people I worked at studio with. It was because we're like a family, because there was never anything like it.
No.
There'll never be anything like it again.
Iconic. Yeah. For
right?
Sure.
Yeah. So we've had reunions over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all follow each other on Facebook. And then there was a movie last year. There was a documentary by this phenomenal filmmaker named Matt Tannauer.
Okay.
He wrote, produced, directed it on Studio 54. And it ended up being mostly about Ian Schrager, but I was featured in it and a bunch of us were featured in it. And then they had a premiere at Sundance. They had another premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. So, I came in for those 2 things.
Where can we watch it?
What?
Where can we watch it?
Oh, it's great. I believe it's on Netflix now. The Studio 54 movie. It's just called Studio 54. It's an amazing documentary, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the closest you'll ever come to feeling what it was like to be in Studio 54 back in the day, because it was so damn exciting.
And was there a lot of footage, like original archive footage?
No, the footage that they used in there was from Andy Warhol's factory.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only footage. This girl, Marsha, supplied all that.
So
remember, it was before cameras and stuff. What?
Yeah. So most of it is like interviewing people like you who were there as testimonials for
Yeah,
whatever.
and there's some footage that goes in there. Yeah, but it's a fascinating documentary.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, I can't wait to
And
see.
Andy Warhol had a good amount of footage. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
I just read what's his name? Nile Rodgers' memoir called
Yeah.
The
Oh, I
Freak.
didn't read it, but I love Nile.
It's such a great book. You should read it. It's really good. I mean, his story is
But he
fascinating.
does mention the Studio 54 story, right? With Chic. He has,
Yeah, there was a
yeah.
lot about where, he was kind of not getting past the door, but then he was
Yeah.
at this other club and they played his song and then they, like,
Well, it's his song. It's Studio 54 is mentioned in his song.
yes,
Get
later on in his career. Yeah,
Le
yeah,
Freak.
yeah,
Le Freak is the song, and it mentions Studio 54.
yeah, exactly. And before, I think the first song that kind of gave him his break was like Everybody Dance.
Yeah, everybody dance, clap your hands.
When are we gonna
Clap
dance
your
again,
hands.
Joanne?
Everybody. What?
When are we gonna dance again?
I know. Well, I dance in my living room once in a
So do
while, but
I.
I was just saying the other night, I miss concerts so much. Ugh. And I do, and listen, Giorgio's. I mean, that's why Brian always wanted me down there too, because I was the Studio 54 girl.
Of course.
And he always wanted Giorgio's to be, wasn't quite Studio 54, but it was certainly fun.
It was fun. I
Yeah.
went there once too, like, I don't know if they named it after Giorgio Moroder, but probably. But when Giorgio and his wife Francesca came in, they treat him like royalty.
Yes. I know he did a couple of parties for Giorgio Moroder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I really feel awful for the people in the nighttime business, the nightclub business, like people like Brian and John Terzian, who owns all these nightclubs. I mean, you can't really, how are you ever going to have a bar until there's really a vaccine?
No, it's not going to happen.
And how are you going to survive? It's just awful.
It's awful.
It's really awful.
Yeah. And especially in this country where there's no safety net for people like that,
Oh, what do you mean, our government?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't look like they're doing the right thing now. Because it looks like mostly Trump's cronies got all the money. I mean, I did get a PPP loan and I did get an SBA loan, but I know a lot of people that needed it that didn't. And, then you said Betsy DeBov's got a SBA loan and Kanye West got an SBA loan. And
that is
so many people got SBA loans. There's no business getting SBA loans when other people are losing their entire businesses.
Yeah, and their livelihoods. Yeah.
Yes. So I just don't know, listen, I like Giorgio's. I don't know when I'd be going back to Giorgio's even, because here's the thing. I was talking to someone today too. So let's say the best case scenario is they actually have a vaccine come January, which I actually think is extraordinarily optimistic. I just don't see it happening that fast, but let's say they do.
They say like 18 months is more likely.
Right. But let's say they had it in January. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then, I'll definitely go for the vaccine, but I'm going to wait 3 or 4 months and see how people are doing on the vaccine first.
Right.
Right.
Working. Yeah.
Definitely. Especially if it's coming from Operation Warp Speed. So, which is Donald Trump. So, but then they don't know if it's going to be 50% effective or 60% effective or 90% effective. So, you could end up getting it even though you have the vaccine, right?
Well, plus the virus will mutate and then they have to,
well, but that would be for the following year. But I'm talking about the vaccine.
The first one,
right. So, and then you have those idiots that are anti-vaxxers that are going to refuse to take it also. So they're saying that even after you get the vaccine, that they're still going to be telling people to wear masks and wash your hands and social distance.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a drag.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the mask just as much as the anti-maskers don't like the mask, but I also know that it's the least I can do to keep people safe and to stop other people from dying and to get our lives back to normal.
For all of us, it's so simple, yet people don't get it.
Yeah, well, they want to go to these super spreader parties, right? I mean, did you see what Gavin Newsom and Garcetti did yesterday?
No.
Yeah, he passed a law that if you have a party, they shut off your electricity and your water.
No way.
Yes.
Well, they had to do some measurements.
Well, they had to. I agree.
People are not listening.
Why? It's amazing that, I don't know about you, but my entire life, I mean, listen, I don't want to say I was a goody two-shoes. I wasn't, but if there's a law like a seatbelt, you wear the seatbelt. If you got to do I like taking my shoes off at the airport? No, but do I take my shoes off at the airport and do that whole thing? I fucking hate it, but I do it. Yeah. It's the least I can do. And the least that people can do is to wear the damn mask. And not be punching people out in stores or throwing temper tantrums in stores because their rights are being violated. I just think people are like nuts. And I don't know, but to me, it seems like, a lot of more of our society than I ever thought was born with a recessive or a dormant Stockholm syndrome gene. And it's all come out with the pandemic.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, and believing all the conspiracy theories. And
that's it. All these different kind of sources of information that are completely
false.
Yeah. False. And I mean, I've seen people turn around who were like all left liberals doing a 180 to the other side. And I'm like, how could this be? I mean, how can you become so manipulated by something
but I think but I also really believe that if you're super, super liberal, you're just as dangerous as the person who's super, super conservative.
I agree.
I mean, because I really do believe, listen, we're in a democracy, and democracy is about compromise. And so it doesn't make a difference if a Democrats in the White House or Republicanism in the White House, minus Trump. When you're never going to be happy about everything they do. That's a democracy. The problem with where we are right now is that we have somebody in the White House who is just completely pathological.
Yeah.
Completely pathological, and he's ruining our country. He's ruining our democracy.
And the democracy, at its core. I mean, what he's trying to do is like it's crumbling, so to speak.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't know how he gets away with it, because I would always think, I mean, listen, I became an American citizen like, I don't know how many years ago. So I had to learn everything about, the Constitution and Congress and so forth. So I understand, the politics, but I do not understand all these like little side loops, how he can do an executive order and just get away with fucking murder.
I listen, I was born here and I don't understand it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm baffled. Like I said the other day, the person that he appointed to be third in line at the Pentagon was not confirmed by the Senate, which is, he owns it, it's mostly Republican, and they wouldn't confirm this guy. And what Trump did is change the title of the job and hired him anyway. He circumvented the whole system.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he's so corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're turning into the fourth world. That's what I always say, like from like this most abundant, richest country on earth into like a shithole, It's terrible.
I'm with you. I feel like we live in Brazil or,
the corruption is unbelievable. I mean, the corruption has always been there, and we all know that the private sector has a hand in politics, and it's like, the lobbyists and let you pass this bill if you do that, if you let that one go, and it's a negotiation. But to me, the worst part is like if you have the heart in the right place, and and if you're in
without question.
Is just
without question. And that's what's been so depressing about all this, right?
As a servant for a country, to serve your country, like as a leader, that's your responsibility, and you took an oath to do that. And so that is already like breaking every thing, you know, he could have done.
Oh my God. I mean, he just ruins, and everybody's wrong but him. I've never seen anything like it.
Well,
And how anybody could even believe that he's always right. You know, it's mind blowing. Did you see what happened today with the NRA?
No, I haven't watched any news today at
Oh,
all.
okay. Well, it
What
was
happened?
massive what happened today.
Oh,
Okay. The Southern District of New York, the Attorney General of the Southern District of New York sued the NRA and wants to close them down
okay.
because they misappropriated so many funds. Wayne Lapierre, the head of the NRA, I guess at least 8 trips that he took on private jets, private chartered jets,
Not
with
surprised.
money they raised from the NRA.
Well, why do you think we don't have gun laws? It's because they are so powerful as you know, lobbyists in Washington. That's why. I mean, how many more school children have to die, you know, and shootings have to happen,
right?
Like, and that's another thing. So corruption has always been there. It was just much more undercover than it is now. So in a way, it's also a good thing about somehow that everybody's running around with a phone and a camera that you can kind of, you know, show these things.
Well, you know what? I thought that 2 years ago when the Arab Spring happened. Everybody had a phone, didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't do a thing. And even in wherever there's a war, wherever everybody's had the camera, doesn't do a thing.
Well, the thing is, look at the Black Lives Matter movement now. I mean,
well, it's been good for that in some instances. I was just going to say that. So it has been good for that.
But the fight's not over. You know, the thing is, like, some people just jump on that wagon and then they jump off again. So the people who really want to do the work, who are really passionate about the cause and the movement, they just stick with it and you know, like roll up their shirts because that's what needs to be done.
Well, that's what John Lewis did.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what
he walked the walk.
Incredible. I was like stopping when I saw his casket pass the bridge. It was so powerful.
I have to say I watched all of it too. I was a fan of I was a huge fan of him and Elijah Cummings, who also died like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
Those two guys, there was a gravitas and a soulfulness and a morality and a gentleness and a kindness about both those guys. And what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? There was nothing phony about them.
Yeah.
They were as real as it gets. You know, I think it's losing the two of them, you know, and this last year has been really devastating, quite honestly. Yeah. You know, and then of course, I mean, even though he's a Republican, but you know, who I enjoyed at the end was John McCain.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Lindsey Graham lost his mind after John McCain passed away. You know, I mean, John McCain, I guess he was looking up to John McCain, would be rolling in his grave at the way Lindsey Graham behaves.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting how disgusting they are.
Yeah.
They're really deplorable people, I have to say.
Also, they place all the people in the strategic places where they can help him. I mean, look at when Trump placed Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court or all this. It's all strategy to protect himself because he knows, like, you know.
Of course, but it did sort of backfire on him a little bit this year.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I'm happy. I'll take a little. Yeah. I'll take John Roberts little. You know what I mean? I will take it, right? Because, you know, thank God he was following the law. You know what I mean? And, you know, and I think, was it Mike Pence made some remark yesterday about John Roberts, how disappointed conservatives are in his last few decisions. Screw you. Yeah. Right? I mean, you believe it? I was like, but it's not about, I mean, the judge is not supposed to be partisan. Yeah. A judge is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be bipartisan. It's supposed to be neutral. Mm-hmm. You know? So he's completely wrong. Say what?
Thank God for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, well, let's
What a
hope she
force
makes
of
it.
nature is she?
Well, let's hope she makes it through November 3rd. And by the way, I mean, you know, I desperately want Trump to lose, but, you know, I'm reading a few. I mean, people shouldn't get too complacent. I mean, I don't even know what to do if he were to win again.
I was just going to ask you that next.
I don't know. I was talking about it to somebody today. I don't know. I might have to move. I don't know if I could take it another 4 years.
No.
I don't even think we'd be living in a democracy anymore. I don't know if I go to Canada. Of course, Africa has its problems, but I love Africa. So maybe I could do that for a while, but I don't know. It's a scary prospect. And, you know, I cannot believe they were going to be voting during a pandemic. It's amazing.
Yeah. And
a pandemic that not only, you know, did our president say was a hoax on numerous occasions, okay? He still believes it's going to go away one day. Such an idiot.
But now he's only interested in being reelected, not about anything else. That's why he now wants to sabotage the postal service and all of that.
So. Oh, no question. But the fact is, what about the fact that, you know, I mean, it really is as simple as had he worn his mask in the beginning and told everybody to wear it, we wouldn't be where we are today, I believe. Yeah. It really is that simple.
Yeah.
Really is that simple. And of course, back in January, like, okay, so I had a friend here today, okay, who travels a lot for business. And when Trump claims that he, you know, shut down China, right? But, you know, 40,000 more people entered the U.S., quote unquote, after he shut down China. But there were other ways to get to the U.S. from China because he does business in China and Japan and Qatar and all that. And he told me he was doing these routes in March after, quote unquote, the border was shut down. No one checked his temperature. No one did anything.
Yeah.
You know?
And
so,
apparently now, because there's some Caribbean countries and some banana republics where you can fly in through if you stay there for 2 weeks. So there's still some loopholes.
Right. I think the only one who's really doing a good job is Governor Cuomo. And now he's like, if you drive into New York City, they're going to test you.
Yeah.
So it's not just flying. If you drive from New Jersey or wherever, I think he's right.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they did it. That's what New Zealand's doing. They're not letting anybody in.
And look at them, like
each state should be treated like a country.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they should have done it in the beginning, though. In the very, very beginning.
The problem here that we have all this state legislation and then the federal, and you know, so everybody can do whatever they want in their state. That's what. And then these people move, like travel outside of their state and spread it. I mean, look at all the papers in Florida, and then they all go back to wherever they came from.
Right, but if Trump would at least say, wear a mask, maybe, you know, because it literally turned it into a political issue. I mean, it is a political issue.
Yeah.
Now, you know, my friend Edward said, you know, he lives in Newport Beach. He's saying, you know, you see people out every day and they're wearing the mask and it says it's a hoax. At least they're wearing their mask, but he says most people aren't wearing their masks. And it's like I said, it's those young people. I personally think that they should open the hair salons and the nail salons. And I don't think that's spreading the virus. I think the virus is clearly being spread by these large gatherings that people are having.
Yeah, and indoors,
you know, that Garcetti's going to try and put a stop to.
Gatherings, yeah. I mean, look at his rally.
What rap? You mean the Herman Cain, the Herman Cain rally?
The Oklahoma rally that was.
Yeah, like, I said that Herman Cain, his dear friend, went to and was bragging that he wasn't wearing a mask, and he died. Right, he died earlier this week. There were videos of Herman Cain saying, "Here I am, no mask," and he got COVID and died.
Yeah, but they're not talking about that in his.
Well, he's not talking about it, but everybody else is. A lot of people are talking about it. I mean, how ridiculous, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So if you would
Anyway,
go- Mm.
it's a trying time. I want our bit. Yeah, like I said, I actually did sign a girl, but I got her because Dean Devlin had a show that ran on one of the cable networks.
Which
It's not
one?
going to go. It's called Almost Paradise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he did like 10 episodes of it,
Uh-huh.
and they might do a season 2. And this girl was the lead, and the female lead. She's from the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And so John Story, John Story?
Of course I know them. Really?
Okay, so John Story, I guess I didn't realize he was an actor, but he was doing a small role in the series. And he was posting about it, and he was posting about this girl, and I was like, oh my God, she looks so interesting. And, can she act? Is she any good? And then he put me in touch with her, and then I watched her on the show. I thought she was good, and I spoke to Dean about it. So I signed her a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
but
wow.
again, there's nothing I can really do. I mean, she's in the Philippines,
Oh,
so she can put herself on tape for the few things that are out there.
Dean is half Filipino.
Say what?
Dean Devlin is half Filipino. His mother was Filipino.
Oh, I didn't know. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
He looks like he's half Filipino.
He's actually a big celebrity in the Philippines.
Well, maybe that's why he did the show there. They shot the show there.
Of course. That's why I'm telling you. Because I remember when they were doing the press tour for Independence Day, like Roland said, oh my God, what is going on here? And
that is so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is really funny.
Mm-hmm. See,
so anyway, so I signed her, and then, there was my friend Lori before the lockdown, met some young actor one night out in London, and she used to be a manager, right? She used to handle, in her heyday, Lori Rock the Jeweler. Yeah. She handled like Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker and Judd Nelson and people like that. And she thought
she was a manager.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
Manager turned like
early days.
Old jeweler, huh?
What?
And then she switched into jewelry.
Didn't want to manage anymore, and then because of her friendship with Cher, I think they started a catalog or something, and then she started the jewelry, and the rest is history.
Incredible. Good.
Yeah, she was a decorator before she became a manager, like a home decorator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a Renaissance woman.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she saw this adorable guy in London who is adorable, and he's theater trained, and he did a season of Vikings last year. He's Irish, and he just got another movie that he's going to shoot in London, low budget film. They're hopefully going to start shooting in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. So I have people, but it's a matter of when the most of the breakdowns are saying October, November, but it's a moving target because anything can change. Yeah. If there's bigger outbreak, then they're going to stop. Just like what's going on with Major League Baseball and stuff. It's a problem.
If you could travel now and there's no work, would you go to Africa? Would you go back to Africa?
No, you know what? That's the only sad thing about having all this time is that, I would have loved all this time to not work. You always say, oh, I'd love to take a year off and then come back, and my business is still there. But you can't travel anywhere. Yeah. You can't travel to Africa. There's too much COVID going on over there right now. They're behind us. So there's way too much COVID. And it's also to get to Africa, to Kenya, which is the closest, is literally a 25, 26 hour journey.
I know.
With a lot of different time changes and stuff. I wouldn't feel safe doing that. I mean, I could get run down. Yeah.
Last time was the reason of your visit to Africa? Was it your animal activism?
I just always been wanting to go to Africa, and yes, there were a few things on my bucket list that I just had to go to. One was trekking with the mountain gorillas and trying to save them.
Did you do
it? The other was what?
Did you go?
Of course I did.
To the
Oh my
gorilla?
God. Yeah, went trekking with the mountain gorillas. Absolutely.
I
The
didn't.
most amazing, it's life-changing.
Oh, that's so
Life-changing.
high on my bucket list. You have no idea.
Well, when you're ready to go, you let me know because I'm on the, I'm an ambassador and I'm on the board of advisors for an organization called the Gorilla Doctors, and they are the only veterinarians for the 900 gorillas left in the wild in Uganda, the Congo, and Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
So they are amazing. So I did my trip through them, and I can't say enough. My heart. But then again, I feel the same way in Kenya, going to the David Sheldrick Elephant Orphanage, where mostly the baby elephants, mothers were poached for their ivory, and then they rescue them. And the first 2 years, and an elephant and rhino, when their parents are killed, they're so traumatized that 50% of them die and 50% of them will make it. Very, very sad. So David Sheldrick, I could watch elephants all day. And then I'm on the board of another organization called Care for Wild, which is outside of South Africa. And they are a rhino sanctuary. So my friend Petronal is like the Jenga doll of the rhinos, I would say. She does amazing, amazing work. And then I work with an organization called Wild Aid. I chaired their big fundraiser last year at the, we're not having that this year, right? I miss all that stuff too, by the way. So Wild Aid, when the buying stops, the killing can too. So they do amazing, amazing work. And now they've just launched a campaign that I'm going to be helping them with on the next pandemic, because we really believe, and as Dr. Fauci even said yesterday, that the COVID virus is a zoonotic virus, which means that it came from animals. Okay, so it probably started in the bat, and then it got passed down to, a lot of people in wildlife conservation believe the pangolin was the animal. But honestly, have you ever seen pictures of those wet markets in China? Yeah. I mean, it's the most I'm surprised that there are not tons of diseases there.
I know.
And there are tons of diseases there. So, I don't believe this will be the last pandemic. And the other COVID viruses all came from animals. And then the Chinese are still, and the Vietnamese, and the Koreans and Thailand, they still torture and abuse and eat dogs. And it's the most vile thing. It's a Holocaust for dogs. I've never known such an evil. It depresses me so much. Yeah. And I can't stop looking, because I will never stop fighting to try and end it. Bravo. I write letters, I sign every petition, I try and raise awareness. Most people will say, I can't look because it's too upsetting. I said, you think it's less upsetting for me to look at it? Exactly. It's probably more upsetting for me to look at it. But if I don't know it and if I want to, throw it under the table, then nothing's going to change. Yeah. What's your view on like farm? Oh, you see my doggie in the background? Yeah. My little baby Trixie. Look at my. What did you say? What did you just ask me? What's your point of view about farming and like mass farming in America? Well, listen, I don't want to see any animal be abused. So I don't want to see a cow be abused. I don't want to see a pig be abused. I haven't eaten pig since the movie Babe. I'm not a vegan yet. I'm very conscious of where my food comes from. So it's got to be humanely raised, blah, blah, blah. And I don't eat meat often, but I do eat it once in a while. If people ate meat as little as I did, we wouldn't have a problem. we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because I do believe, it's tricky. I always thought that when I grew up that there wasn't industrialized farming. I always thought that a cow was on a ranch. I know, you know what I mean? There was always a big disconnect too, like from what's on your plate to what goes in your mouth. We always grew up with such a disconnect, right? And now with, social media and friends of mine who are who are animal rights activists, it's, it becomes increasingly more difficult to eat the meat, because they're sentient beings, you know what I mean? And so, like pigs in those gestation, their whole lives, they're lying on their sides and they can't move. And I mean, it's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
The demand makes them mass produce, because in the olden days before industrialization, or when we had the hunters.
Correct. Correct.
Natural, like food chain cycle.
Correct. And I do believe that on some level there is a survival of the fittest type of thing, but I don't believe in blatant abuse, and I don't believe in blatant greed and being too gluttonous about it, or having no feelings. My friend Diane Warren has a ranch in Malibu, and she has, oh my God, I think there might be 20 pigs on the ranch. Oh. Okay. So there's just no way I could eat a pig. I haven't eaten a pig in years anyway, but there's just no way. And as a matter of fact, the last pig that she rescued sits on command. Okay. Her name's Charlotte. She sits on command. What?
Where does she rescue them from like
different places? She rescued 3 goats from a 4-H club county fair that were sold to be turned into meat, and they're now at her ranch.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and she's got the cows. Listen, I remember when I went to feed the cow for the first time, and they stick out their tongue. Yeah. Because I never interacted with cows when I was growing up. And my mother would serve tongue for dinner. Yeah. I never knew what tongue was or where it came from. I never asked.
Yeah.
It's the tongue of a cow.
Yes.
I couldn't eat it if you paid me.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people just look away. They don't even want to know, because it's probably too scary for them, to look at the reality of it.
But also at the same time, I do believe that a certain amount, like I know that I need, and as women get older too, for their bones and stuff too. I've talked to like a lot of older people, and the doctors say you need a certain amount of bloody protein. Yeah. You don't need a lot, but you need a certain amount. And I find that the few times that I've tried to go vegan, I don't really feel that well.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I mean? First of all, I'm very bloated because I use so much salt in the cooking. Like, I love the food at Crossroads, but I always feel so bloated when I leave. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a fan of soy. It's not good for me. I don't know how many people it's good for, but it's not good for me. Yeah. And so I think, moderation, like what? I eat eggs, but I only buy they're more expensive, but I buy pasture raised, they don't kill them. Pasture raised, free
food choices.
What?
You're very
absolutely. And Bel Campo. If you're gonna during the pandemic, Bel Campo, Bel Campo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is also, I find, because agriculture is not subsidized by the state here, like it is for in Germany. So it makes it more expensive, and like some more underprivileged families, but probably cannot afford, the food that would be good for them. So that's a problem too.
Well, but you can afford beans and rice and stuff like that. That's fine to eat. If you're not going to eat meat, I go through phases where I eat beans and quinoa and stuff like that. And that's protein and healthy.
Yeah. If it's not kind of, GMO, and genetically modified.
That's true too, right? Yeah. So terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like, and then I see these videos of cows, getting massages on Instagram and stuff. I mean, love animals. I do love animals. However, I believe that I'm the person that likes to stay in my lane. So I have a lot of friends like Diane that all about the farm animals, and I'll go to fundraisers. I'll go to Mercy for Animal fundraisers and Last Chance for Animals, and I mean, that was a big part of my life too. How many fundraisers for animals I would go to every year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least 2 a month, I would say, and now we have none of them. They're all virtual now, which is not quite the same, but in any event, so my lane is wildlife conservation, endangered species, and dogs. So that's where I try and stay, because, I think when you try and push too many agendas, then I think you lose people that way too, So I'm very consistent. Those are the things that and climate change, because climate change does cross over into wildlife conservation, because if you
destroy the habitat, yeah.
well, if you kill all the elephants, they're the gardeners of Eden. So if they don't eat the leaves and then put their dung in the ground, which is fertilizer, and then all the other animals are dependent on that, so they get their nourishment and grow, right? The world would disappear. So the endangered species is connected with climate change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my passions. I wish I could do that full time over everything, but there's not a lot of money in that. That just feeds my soul.
Yeah. That's super nice. Good for
right?
you. Thank God.
What about you?
What about me?
Yeah, like what are your
My causes? It's definitely the environment. 100%. Yeah. I was involved a lot with Global Green and, passing laws and how to kind of get legislation for city building and regulations and so forth.
Which Trump wants to get rid of everything, right? The toilet flushing.
Another hoax,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, he's just such an idiot. God help us all. God help us all through this. I mean, I can't believe that November 3rd is the election.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I will. I did send in my vote by mail ballot yesterday, but I would even consider. I know that last election, like the midterm elections, my voting place is very close, and you could vote up to 10 days before.
Yes.
The early voting, I did it like 10 days before because I knew what I was going to vote for. Yeah. I walked in, voted, walked out.
Me too.
And then the day of the election, I remember so many of my friends were caught online for like 3, 4, 5 hours, 6 hours. And I was like, voting early, just vote early.
And it's important too, the early voting, really important.
Well, it is, but it also, it's less time consuming. It's just easier.
Yeah.
It's easier all the way around, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, let's see what happens. It's a long way to go, but it's coming, like time just flies. I can't believe we're in August now.
I know. Can you believe we've been like March, April? I mean, it's 5 months. My hair knows it. My hair definitely is feeling it. But other than that, listen, I think, did you hear Michelle Obama today talking about,
I did a news detox day today.
Oh, you did? Well, she just made a little, I didn't see the whole thing, but she made a comment about being, mildly depressed because of a combination of things, because of Trump, because of the pandemic, and Black Lives Matter for her, but I think that, like I said, there are days I'm great and I'm fine. And then there are days I'll go, oh my God, I can't believe this actually happened to us.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the movies in the beginning? Like I watched Contagion. Did you watch any of those in the beginning? Contagion, and there was one that Kevin did years ago. Was called Outbreak.
Outbreak, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I watched both of them in the beginning.
No, I watch a lot of movies when the Black Lives Matter movement, like when all these terrible things like George Floyd happened and all the others. I
What did you watch?
I started watching, educating myself because we're all guilty. I mean, there's the systemic underlying racism, and then there's all the stuff that got instilled into us too, in like the micro racism. So I watched 13th, which I think is a
13 was, I saw that a couple of years ago at a screening.
yeah,
Amazing.
I saw it again.
Uh-huh.
Because it was so good. I saw James Baldwin, I'm Not Your Negro, which is amazing.
Oh, okay.
And right now I'm watching Oliver Stone's docuseries,
Oh, well, you told me you liked it, no?
Untold History of America. So much interesting truth.
Well, that's probably not touching on racism too much, though, is it?
Just that's my political part, where to understand where this country came from and where it is.
No, I'm teasing. Did you see Hamilton?
I did not.
Okay. Or you need to get Disney Plus just to watch Hamilton, and then discontinue it if you want to. It is so spectacular. I cannot say enough about it. I didn't see it on Broadway because I have not, the last few years, I haven't been going to New York as much as I have in the past because my mother is in Florida. So whenever I would go east, I would go to Florida instead of going to New York. And then, my mother was always insulted if I would only go for 2 days. So by the time I finished with my mother, I wanted to get back home to my dogs, right? But nonetheless, so I never saw Hamilton on Broadway. Then I wasn't going to pay $2,500 for a ticket at one time. But I watched it with a friend a few weeks ago on July 4th. I mean, we stood up after every song and clapped and cheered. It is so spectacular, and it's such a great education about our founding fathers.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Definitely. Okay, good, because I had it on my list, on my 10,000 posted.
It moves like that.
I have
the music is amazing. The acting is spectacular. The music's spectacular. The singers, all the voices are spectacular. I can't say enough about it. And the only thing I recommend you do before you watch it, which someone had said, listen to the soundtrack, which I didn't have time to listen to the soundtrack. I went to Wikipedia and I looked up Alexander Hamilton. Yeah. And I got a wrap up of everything, and it was such a piece of cake to follow.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's what I recommend.
I'm signing up on Disney later.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's other things to see on there, but that's amazing. Well, because Disney Channel is also National Geographic.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, so I'm keeping that one.
Well,
I haven't signed up.
I wanted to see Hamilton on Broadway when I was last in New York, and then it was also impossible with tickets. And then I actually saw, what did I see? I saw The Color Purple with Jennifer Hudson instead.
Oh, how was that?
It was great.
I saw that so long ago, but she was probably really good, wasn't she?
She was fantastic, yeah.
Wow. Can you imagine Broadway? I mean, it's such a hardship what's going on there too.
So bad. Everybody from the ticket kind of people to the anybody.
And it's they're not going back anytime soon. You can't go back with social distancing unless we invent something. Like maybe we invent a little Martian thing that goes over our heads that's all self-contained, and we can all sit in the audience and they can sanitize it when we leave. Right?
By the way, I just remember we talked about what was your last concert, and you couldn't even remember what your last live concert was before the.
Well, I know that what showed up on my Facebook the other day that I reposted was Adele, but that wasn't the last concert I went to. Yeah. And it certainly wasn't. It could have been like Imagine Dragons or who did I see? Could have been Imagine Dragons or John Mayer or somebody like that.
You know what mine was?
You know what mine was? I know what mine was. My last concert was? I know what mine was because it was the best. I go to Music Cares every year. Oh. So, yeah. So that was an amazing night. And
honored this year again.
Now there's the other question. Who did they honor this year? It was Prince.
Ooh.
So was it Prince? No, it was Aerosmith. I'm sorry. Shame
Wasn't
on me.
Petty?
It was Aerosmith. It was Aerosmith.
Okay.
So it was a great night. Steven Tyler, Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great night. And then 2 nights later,
Mm-hmm.
it was the day after the Grammys, I went to the Prince tribute concert,
Oh,
which
that's
aired on TV a couple of months later.
yes.
And that was amazing too.
Yeah.
Because everyone from Chris Martin to her to, Sheila E. and stuff like that all performed
The
Prince
greatest
songs.
of all time, Prince.
It was amazing. That was the last concert I think I went to because that was February.
I went in March to my last concert. It was.
What did you see? Who'd you see?
I saw Patti Smith at Disney Hall.
Ah, that would have been great.
I love her.
Did you, I saw her perform earlier in the year. My friend Lynn Goldsmith, who's a photographer, did a book with Patti.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the book?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, so she did a signing at Tashin. Tashin put out the book.
Oh, I think I saw that on your Facebook or something.
Yeah. So she performed like 4 or 5 songs that night.
Yeah, and when she released her book, she also did a little thing, like a reading of her book, and she did a couple songs with Lenny Kaye at the end, which was really nice.
There you go, right? She's so cool.
Oh, she's the coolest of them all.
She's the coolest. So so those were my last concert. It was the Grammys and the Prince tribute.
Not so shabby, I'd say.
What?
Not so shabby.
No, it wasn't. The one that will always be the most memorable for me forever and ever and ever, I believe, was the Music Cares Tom Petty tribute because I was still a massive Tom Petty fan. I still can't believe he's gone. And he died a year after that concert. And I was literally like practically on the stage, which I was for the Aerosmith also. I managed to get to the front somehow, The seats are good, but then I want to get better.
They can always get better.
They can always get better, right? So, so that was, Tom Petty was amazing. And then I was when he performed at the Hollywood Bowl, he performed 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl, and then he died like 10 days later.
I know.
I was at 2 out of 3 of those shows. And for some reason, I took long videos. I have all those videos of his last concerts,
Yeah.
Amazing. Miss him.
Yeah.
Gone too soon.
Yeah.
Gone too soon.
One of my
So
did you ever meet him?
Oh God, yeah. My friend managed him.
Oh, okay.
My friend Tony Dimitriadis managed him. I met him for the first time back in my Studio 54 days. Back then, I don't know if he remembered me back then because back then they were into drugs and stuff.
Yeah, bad.
But yeah, so I always went backstage at all their shows.
Yeah. Well, I used to work for a promoter in Germany, and when we wrapped up the tour, I was like the one who had to go out with the band to the dinners, and when they settled.
Oh, that's not so shabby.
And so I actually sat next to him the whole dinner one time, and there was like 89 or something. And then I took him out.
Was he high or was he okay?
Oh, he was fine, but the band was not so.
Oh no.
He went back to the hotel, and I had to take the band out to a club, and they asked me how to get some drugs for them, and I'm like, no, that's where I draw the line, guys.
Yeah, right, exactly. I have stories like that from my Studio 54 days because I would hang out with Tanya Tucker, and she was always wanting drugs.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm happy to be friends with you and hang out with you, but I don't get drugs for people.
Yeah.
That's not what I do.
Wrong
so
person.
If you want me for that, then we don't need to be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
was a wild child back then, I must say.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stories on Studio 54, but here's the other thing. You should watch the Studio 54 documentary on Netflix. It's from a cultural aspect, it's just a great documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt Tannauer, who wrote, produced, and directed it, because the lawyer for Ian Schrager and Steve Rebell was Roy Cohn.
Uh-huh.
So, and they went to jail, for tax evasion and stuff like that, Steve and Ian, like a year and a half, 2 years after the club opened, right?
Mhm.
So he was so fascinated, Matt, the filmmaker, was so fascinated by the Roy Cohn of it all, that he did a documentary that came out last year called Where's My Roy Cohn?
Oh.
And if you want to see exactly how we got Donald Trump, that's the documentary to watch.
Okay.
I mean, I know how we got Donald Trump, but he was Trump's lawyer until he died.
Yeah.
But Trump learned every single thing from Roy Cohn. This documentary, there's another Roy Cohn documentary that came out like a month ago on HBO that I watched. It was by Ethel Rose, the Rosenberg's granddaughter.
Okay.
Remember the Ethel Rosenberg, the nuclear bomb, the guys who were that Roy Cohn put to the electric chair.
Mm-hmm.
Julius and Ethel Rosenberg.
Mm-hmm.
You know who they are?
No.
Oh no, you're kidding. That's a famous case. They were accused of, selling secrets to the Russians and, nuclear secrets, and they were given the electric chair. Roy Cohn was the attorney.
In what time period was that?
Oh my God. Well, if I could get near my phone, because you're on it with you.
Okay.
It was during the McCarthy era.
Okay.
But it was on HBO like a month ago. But at the same time, the better documentary of the two on Roy Cohn is the Where's My Roy Cohn? I think it's on Amazon.
Okay, Boy, I've got some homework to do.
Well, I'm sure I have some homework. By the way, speaking of homework in the Lincoln Project, how about that Sarah Cooper? She's amazing. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
Do you?
You mean the Lincoln Project? Where are you?
No, Sarah Cooper is a comedian that does all those videos to Trump's voice.
Yeah, but she speaks with Trump's. Yeah.
She's genius. Oh my God, she's so genius.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with her too.
Yeah, I love it too.
Thank God for the good comedy that comes out of all of this.
How good was Dave Chappelle's thing he did and his?
Oh my gosh, so good.
He's
so
the greatest of all time. He really is.
So good. Have you ever watched this
Sebastian?
I forget I can't even pronounce his last name because he's Italian.
No, I would know.
My computer is acting up today. I don't understand.
Maybe,
you know what it could have been? My computer guy was going to work on my computer from his home.
Oh, maybe
that's what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe he was on it and I couldn't get on it.
Can he log in without you?
Yeah, he can log in from his home.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he was going to try and do that because it's giving me all these weird messages today. But at least the phone was good.
Thank God.
Right?
Well, are you reading something right now too? Are you reading a lot of books?
I have a pile of books that I've not started. Okay. Mm-hmm. The first one is the Mary Trump book.
Mm-hmm.
His cousin, right? And then I have a dog book called No Ordinary Hero about the Malwa that was with the Navy SEALs on the Osama bin Laden mission. And then I have another book on Trump. And then I have a million books on iBooks. Those are like regular books. And then I have iBooks. Like I was interested in maybe reading Jim Carrey's book, actually. Because I saw him on, what?
Is it a autobiography, a memoir?
Memoir, I think Memories and Misinformation it's called, I think. Okay. He's been out promoting it the last couple of weeks. Okay. I just think he's such a genius.
Yeah.
Such a genius.
Yeah.
Have you seen his art, by the way?
I'm not too fond of his art, to be honest.
Oh, but it's all anti-Trump art.
Well, I haven't seen his latest work, but I saw his...
Well, no, the last 3 years he's been doing all Donald Trump.
Okay, I've
Oh
got.
my God, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he doesn't like Donald Trump. The drawings are amazing. They're hilarious, you know. But what was I looking up for you just now? What was it? Oh, I was Julius Rosenberg, right?
Yeah, I
Was
follow her. I see the clips all the time.
on who?
Huh? On her
Who?
Instagram.
Who's her?
Oh no, you talking? Who are you talking about now?
Julius and Ethel
About the Roy
Rosenberg. You
Cohn
asked
people.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You had asked me when they. Hey, stop that. I'm
When
not.
they
You know, I'm
were
gonna have to text you later.
sorry.
Julie, us, and ETH Ethel Rosenberg were electrocuted. Okay, were convicted and executed. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, because you were born in Germany, so it was. Come on. Why were the Rosenbergs executed? Why doesn't it say when it was right off the bat? Okay, I'm not going to waste your camera time.
I'm gonna look it up.
It was, 1953.
Okay.
Few death penalty executions can equal the controversy created by the electrocutions of spies Julius and Ethel Rosenberg in 1953
Mm-hmm.
during the Cold War. I actually am one of those people, that believe they were probably innocent. And that's the whole point of her granddaughter doing a documentary on it.
Mm-hmm.
Her grandson doing granddaughter doing a documentary on it.
Super.
But the one you really should watch is Where's My Roy Cohn?
There's so many interesting stories out there. But I love the documentaries that are really educational too. I mean, did you watch the Get Me Roger Stone one?
Yes, I did.
That was good too.
I can't believe he's out walking the streets, that crook.
Right. That's another thing.
I watched that a couple of years ago, like when it first came out.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
Yeah.
Like I said, the other one I watched the other night, which was definitely kind of interesting, was Fear City, about the mafia.
Oh yeah, you told me.
The mafia crime families in New York.
Yeah.
When Giuliani actually did a good thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's it.
I forgot that he did a good thing. I almost went and watched it. And of course I watched Tiger King, which angered me. I watched it because it angered me.
Oh.
I didn't get out of it what everybody was tweeting about, which was the characters. Everybody was talking about the characters and how funny they were, and the whole documentary was about extreme animal abuse. Because what they would do, roadside zoos are the worst, and they do the petting zoos, and it looks so cute. You're petting the little lions and the tigers and the residents. As soon as they get to be a certain age, they fucking kill them.
And look at what kind of lowlifes run these places.
That's what I'm saying. But people made celebrities out of the lowlifes that ran the place. And I'm like, guys, what about the animal abuse? But but what happened was when Tiger King came out, it came out right when the pandemic started. And so it didn't really, there was really no press. It kind of got lost in the shuffle with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so, the commentary really pretty much got run by people who watched it.
Yeah.
And then my friend Bonnie Abunza, who does strategic PR for causes and stuff, was going to do a campaign to talk about the animal abuse, the tiger abuse, and all the animal abuse. I mean, there's videos of him, like hitting those tigers. It's disgusting.
And the fact that there's more tigers in the U.S. in captivity than in the world is, to me, that was the biggest shocker of a fact.
Well, for me, it wasn't a shocker because
I did not
I've known
know
it.
that.
As I known about blood lions for years, and it's a very disturbing thing. And a lot of it happens in South Africa also, because what's even more disgusting about it is that these criminals, in my opinion, in South Africa. So the the tiger or the lions are born, right? They take them away from their mothers within 2 weeks, you know, which is a terrible thing to do. They shouldn't be taken away from their mothers. And then they start friending them, and they become friends with them. They make the lions love them because they're the ones who care for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone pays them to send this lion that was raised by humans out into a very confined area to go shoot them. I mean, where's the hunt in that?
Oh my God.
That's aside from trophy hunting.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, see, I mean, you know, I could do hours with you on you know, on the animals, but you know, my friend Judith Regan did a book a couple years ago on blood lions too. I mean, it's disgusting what they do. These poor animals, and they trust humans, and then the humans just, you know, disappoint them. Listen, it happens even in people's homes. Like, you know, people have a dog, right? You rescued your dog.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that someone would give up your dog, short of like passing away or something, is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you dump your dog. You dump your dog at a kill shelter. Oh, I don't want to take care of my dog anymore. I'm moving, so I'm going to dump my dog at a kill shelter.
Yeah.
You know?
People are strange, I'm telling you.
Yeah, people are strange.
They don't take the responsibility, or that they have no clue what responsibility they're taking on and handle it.
And by the way, the same people that probably are abusing the animals, etc., are the same people that are not wearing the masks, or fighting about wearing the mask, or not following the pandemic, or having large parties at their house, or, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because the mind's not in the right place, obviously. I mean,
yeah, no, people.
You look at you wearing a cheetah little top. I love.
Oh, did you not see that before?
No, I did, but I wanted to say I have a lot of that print too, and whatever, bikini, scarf, and I said Carol Baskins ruined it for us.
Nah. She has. By the way, look how red my hair is in the light. Jesus.
Oh yeah. Nice though. I like it.
I don't mind it. I mean, it's fun for now. I don't think I'd keep it too long, but it's fun for now.
It is.
You know?
It's kind of aubergine. It's like eggplantish, good kind of.
Yeah, it's like an eggplant color. You know? It's eggplant. But when I first saw the ad, it was like this. It was more purple. And I was like, I just want purple hair.
So tell me about these blood lions. Is there any organization that people can turn to if they're helping?
Well, not off the top of my head. This is my friend Judith did this book called Lionhearted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about the life and death. Oh, this was about Cecil the lion and the future of Africa's iconic cats. So it goes into the bloodlines of it all. It's a disgusting, absolutely disgusting industry, you know? Yeah. I don't know who other than, let's say, IFA, you know, one of the bigger organizations, or I was going to say World Wildlife Fund, but they're so well funded. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, I like the little organizations that are more tiny, that they're boots on the ground, and you know, when you send the money, it goes straight to them right away. Yeah. So for me, you know, I'm mostly into David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. Mm-hmm. You can rent the cutest baby elephants, foster. You can foster or adopt cute baby elephants. Mm-hmm. Care for Wild. You can adopt the cutest, just the cutest. Baby rhinos are the cutest. They're as cute as baby elephants. And then the gorillas need help too.
Yes, they do.
You know, so, you know, because there was one that was just murdered, Rafifi, was just murdered like a month ago in the Congo for bushmeat, because, you know, the problem now with Africa because of COVID, there's no tourism. Mm-hmm. So all the tourism's dried up, and, you know, all these organizations and all these places where all the, the African locals work, there's no work.
Yeah.
There's no one going to the hotels and stuff. And so what are some of them doing? It's awful. They're resorting to poaching,
No.
which is disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's a problem because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then you got the Chinese, don't get me started, with all their, funky medicine that doesn't work. They rhino horn supposed to cure cancer, and rhino horn supposed to make you more virile, and and none of it is true.
No.
And now they're pushing that rhino horn can cure COVID.
Oh, please, come on.
I mean, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
So like where Africa, where China is shutting down some meat wet markets, like Vietnam supposedly just came on board to close the wet markets, but they got to include the dogs also.
Yeah.
But they did do something. They have to enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
Their Chinese medicine is exempt from it all. Mm-hmm. And that's where they want the rhino horn and all the pangolin scales and the this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. They drink tiger blood. I don't know. They come up with stuff I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I really just don't understand them, And so, I shouldn't say it on your telecast, or your podcast, because I don't agree with anything Trump said, except for it came from China. I do agree with him because
started
what
there.
they do to animals over there is horrifying to me. Yeah. You have to it's the government of China. It's not Chinese Americans, obviously. No. It's the government of China. Yeah. They have terrible laws for animals over there too.
They also look at how they even treat other people. Look at the Tibetans.
Right, exactly.
Start right there, and then for them, the animals don't even have the same value,
I really, I have a hard time with it, you know what I mean? So, because, it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart. I just hate injustice like that. So it hurts, injustice hurts your heart.
Injustice is the worst thing for me too. I become really upset about injustice. And that would I would say would be my other cause in my activism besides the environment is justice.
Right, but injustice can not just be people, it can be animals. Injustice.
Oh, yeah. There's so many, injustice anywhere. But again, like you have to kind of decide where you want to put your energy in, because you can't spread yourself that thin. So
yeah.
So
that's pretty much. Your dog is saying it's enough on the phone already, Andre.
All right. Do you want to say goodbye, Chico?
Same thing to me. I don't even know what time it is. What time is it?
It's 6:00.
Oh my God.
My Chico, he wants to say goodbye.
Okay, it's just now I'm here. I have to move a bit because my dogs are used to going out by this time.
Yeah.
We can. I don't know if I answered all your questions. I can get back to you on but the Gorilla Doctors is an amazing organization to send money to. And I can send you the information on the Gorilla Doctors. And then Wild Aid and Careful Wild and David Sheldrick.
Great.
Oh, I could give you, shame on me. I could also give you, it's a little complicated, Earth League International, but it's a little more complicated. They changed their name. Mm-hmm. They do undercover work. They go into the wildlife trafficking trade. I'm an ambassador to that organization also. That's a nasty trade. By the way, so a couple of years ago, they were in China, in Vietnam, doing some undercover, trying to get to some kingpin, and they arrest this kingpin, and they're going through his car, and there's tiger skins and rhino horn and ivory, and in the trunk were children's heads.
You are kidding.
I kid you not.
Holy shit.
Children's decapitated heads. So, I always say to people, so if you're doing wildlife trafficking and all, it's human trafficking, wildlife trafficking, they're all the same disgusting kingpin, gross people.
In their heads, these people, it's like unbelievable.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Human heads, children's heads.
Oh my God.
Correct. So, it's a crazy world.
Well,
What's your dog saying?
Thank you for giving me this image so that I cannot unsee it now in my mind.
Oh no. Well, I can send you some happier things. Does your dog still have blue on him or no? I don't remember what you said.
A little bit on his tail. Let's see.
Poor baby. Well, but it probably looks cute on the tail.
It does. It does.
Right? Does he bark at you if he gets annoyed at you?
No, but there's somebody outside or something. He gets antsy and he hasn't been out for a couple hours. So
that's what I'm saying. My dogs are like, they're under my bed right now, but they're used to being out by this time.
Well,
so,
let's take them out then together.
Okay. Yes. So let's, together. I'm going to do a couple of things here. I got to eat something first. I'm starving.
All right. Well, let's make a date and let's get the dogs.
Let's get together anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
You can cook for me. I can cook for you.
Sure. I'd love it.
Right?
Super.
Okay.
Okay, my dear.
Great talking to you.
You too.
I hope I answered what you wanted me to. I don't know.
It's a freestyle thing. I always let it take it where it goes.
Okay.
I love it.
Good going then.
I love it. It was lovely to talk to you.
It was lovely to talk to you too.
Awesome.
Let's get together within the next week or two.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Have a good night. Bye.
You too now. Bye, baby. Uh-oh.